Don't mess around in this business. If somebody is shady, be done with it. I don't care how long they've been doing good. Once people go down that path and they start being shady, they don't usually come back out of it. They usually are just going down a road because of financial reasons, the business isn't doing good, or whatever, but they're going down, and I'm not going to go down with you. Okay? So if you start seeing that kind of activity, bail out. Ask for references from their last 3 jobs that they did. I get this a lot when I go bid jobs. People will say, could you give me addresses or customer names of 3 jobs? And I do, and then I ask the people, did anybody ever call you about these jobs? They go, no. Well, what did you ask me for? Just to see if I had 3 jobs that I did? Okay? So if you're going to ask for it, call the people, check up on them, follow up on it. Find out if the customer was happy. Did they start the job when they said they would? Did they end the job when they said they would? Did they go over budget? And if so, by how much and why? Okay? So ask some questions, find out how they do. Check into their social media and their reviews. Probably 95% of the companies out there have a Facebook page. Okay? You can go on there and check them out. Find out what projects they've done. You can see pictures of it. You'll probably see a lot of comments about it. If they have anything like a web page where they have reviews, go read the reviews and just look them up. Find out, see what you can get. If you have a company and you go on their Facebook page and they have no pictures whatsoever, they just have pictures of them partying with their friends, might not be a company you want to use. You need to make sure that they'll do a few things here. Write this one down. We're going to talk about this one for a few minutes. Make sure they'll sign the independent contractors agreement, always. If they won't, don't use them. Okay? The contract is your planning on getting divorced. And how are we going to handle it when we get divorced? That's what a contract is. Because think about it. When you do a job and everything goes great, do you ever look at the contract? When do you look at it? When something bad happens, because you want to prove they were supposed to do something or you were supposed to do something, correct? Okay, there's 3 pieces of information you need. What, when, how much. Everything in construction is those 3 things. What, when, how much. What are you doing? When are you doing it? And how much are you going to do it for? Right? So the contract's going to say what I'm doing. I'm going to renovate your house. My contract will say that the bid is part of the contract. That's the what. That's also the how much. The bid tells you everything I'm going to do, how much I'm going to do it for. All right? And then the when is going to be in the contract. When am I going to start the job? How long is it going to take? Okay, the how long am I going to take tells you when I'm going to finish, correct? Now, you get more detailed into a contract has more information than just that. That's the main thing you need. So the other thing you're going to have is, for me anyway, draws. When are payments due? Have you had a contractor where this became an issue? Raise your hand if you have. A lot of people have problems with payment. Okay? They want payment. You don't think they deserve payment, all that. It should be in the contract. You should never be guessing at this stuff. Nothing should be guessing when you're doing contract work. So the contract will say, you're going to give me 20% up front at the signing of the contract. And then you're going to give me 20% 10 days later, and it's going to have a date. And you're going to give me 20% 10 days after that with a date. And it's going to keep going until we get to 100%. I'm going to actually have the final 10%, it's going to say the final 10% is not to be paid until the customer is satisfied that the job is complete. What does complete mean? That could be up for interpretation. Because the contractor's view of complete might not be yours. Okay? It always needs to be yours, the customer's. When the customer says it's complete, that's when it's done. That's when the final payment should be made. Okay? If the job is not finished, do not pay the final payment. I don't care what they say. Don't do it. You pay them, there's no reason for them to ever come back. I'm not saying they won't, but you're opening the door for them to walk out on you. And then you got to pay somebody else to finish the job. Okay? So have a holdback, something in the contract that states what the holdback's going to be. It could be a dollar amount or it could be a percentage, whatever makes you more comfortable. Don't do something crazy like, I'm going to hold $20,000 from you. That's too much, okay? You don't need to hold $20,000 because they didn't do a paint bump and they missed a couple of doorknobs or something. Have it be reasonable. It could be $5,000. It could be $3,000. Have it be more than what needs to be done, though. Because if you have it a couple $100, but I got 3 days worth of work left because you gave me this huge punch list, and all I got left is $200, have a nice day. You might get that, okay? So make sure you're holding enough money back to make it worth their while to come back. So it's psychological to the contractor or the sub or whoever you're holding money. I'll give you an example. If you owe $3,000 as the final payment, and I tell you, okay, you gave me a list, it's going to take 2 hours to do the work. It's not a big list. And I say, go ahead and give me the $3,000. I really need to pay my guys, and I want to make sure they come tomorrow. So you really need to give that to me so that I can pay everybody. They're always going to try to put it off on you, what you need to do for them. You need to give me the money so I can pay. And you give me the $3,000, and then I come back with my guys, and what do I say to them? Hurry up, guys. Let's go. Get this stuff done. We ain't even getting paid for it. Let's go. Let's go. Hurry up. Get done. I'm not really motivated. You've already given me all the money. I just want to leave. If you're holding $3,000 and I go in there and have 2 hours worth of work, I tell the guys, come on, let's get this stuff done, guys. We can get $3,000 for 2 hours worth of work. Let's go. You see how that sounds different? You're not paying them anything different. It's just psychologically, it's different in their head. They don't get the money until they do the work, and so they want to get the work done versus, I've already been paid, I don't even want to be here anymore. All right? So just make sure you do the holdback. Make sure they can pay and pull and pay for all the necessary permits. That also means that they have the proper licensing to do so. Okay? You might hire a plumber, but can he pull a plumbing permit? Okay? What are you going to do if he can't? What are you going to do if the building department walks in on your job site and says, I see you doing plumbing work, replacing some toilets, you need to get a permit. And then you tell the plumber and he goes, I'm not licensed. You should never have that happen because remember what I told you to do at first? Make sure they have what? License and insurance, right? So that's why you don't want to get caught like that. I just had a job where we did have an inspector walk up about a week ago. And we were pulling an AC permit. It was being pulled, I should say. And we were putting up some lights, which sometimes I don't pull permits to put up some dome lights. And the plumbing, we found a lot of problems with the plumbing that we didn't know about. And we didn't really know what all the problems were. We were still trying to figure it all out. Well, here comes the inspector, and he goes, okay, I don't see an AC permit, I don't see electrical permit, and I don't see a plumbing permit. So I'm going to fine you, and you need to get your permit pulled. He didn't stop the job or anything like that. No big deal. We'll get it all done. All my guys are licensed, so it's like, okay, this one's already being pulled. The plumbing will get pulled when we figure out what we need to do. We just didn't even know what we were doing yet. And then the electrical, we had to go down. The electrical, he said, you're changing out a $10 light. I need a $70 permit. Like, yeah, you would. So that's the way the city works, So you got to make sure you can get those permits if they're required. Make sure they'll agree to a detailed scope of work and a materials list. Who's going to make that list of what needs to be done? I don't know. You might, they might, but you need to agree to it. Okay? If you let him make the list, you're agreeing to his list. And also you need to know what he's buying. I don't care about your 2x4s and your sheetrock and all that stuff. What doorknobs are you buying? What faucets are you buying? What fans are you going to buy? If you don't have this spelled out and he goes and buys the cheapest, ugliest thing he can possibly find, you might be disappointed with the renovations when they finish. And you go, well, I thought you were going to put a nice one in. Did it say anywhere what I was going to put in? Or did you just leave it up to me? Okay? So make sure you have a detailed list of exactly what you're going to do. there shouldn't really be any guesswork when you're hiring a contractor. It should always be spelled out. And most of the time when I see these or hear about these problems, it's because something wasn't discussed or agreed to. And I don't know if maybe it's the customer just assumes that this contractor is going to do what you're thinking, and it's just not going to work out like that, okay? So have it all figured out. Keep the job site clean and have dumpsters. I don't like putting crap by the road, okay? I want it in a dumpster. The reason being is when I'm done with the job, I want the dumpster gone. I don't want to have a pile of stuff out there and then the trash guy doesn't come, or they were full and they went by, they're going to get it next week, and then here comes my photographer taking pictures and I got this big pile of trash out front, okay? Or worse, I put it on the MLS and the trash is still out there. And now I'm trying to show it and sell a house with a bunch of garbage in front of it. I don't do that. I know a lot of people who don't want dumpsters because they are extremely expensive. But they want the contractor to figure out how to get rid of all the materials. Well, you know how I get rid of it? I put a dumpster in your driveway. Okay? I'm not a hauling service. I'm not taking trash and putting it in my pickup and going and finding another dumpster somewhere to put it. I'm going to put one in your yard. That's what we're going to do. Okay? That's how I operate. Not everybody's the same. A lot of that comes from nickel and diming. I don't do that, and you shouldn't either. Okay? Be efficient. How can you be the most efficient? Get things done as fast as you can. Make it easy for everybody. If you make it difficult, they're not going to want to work for you anymore. Okay? Make it as easy as possible. Here's a good one. You want to write this one down. Make sure they will agree to a $50 to $100 a day penalty if not finished on time. Take this one with a grain of salt. If you have this clause in the contract and your contractor finishes the job 2 days late, don't go tell him you're going to take $100 off of his final bill. That's not cool. That's not what it's for. What is it for? It's to keep them from doing something. It's from keeping them from leaving and going somewhere for 3 weeks, working for somebody else because they can get a draw a little quicker on another job. That's what it's for. It's not to technically beat them up, all right? Now, when you sign a contract is written for who? That's a good one. It might be written by a lawyer, but who's it for? It's for the person that wrote the contract, the person that's giving the contract, which would be who? The contractor. It's his contract. So don't you think the wording in there is going to benefit him more than you or her? Right? So read these contracts because they're not for your protection, they're for their protection. Do you think this clause is going to be in the contract? I'll even ask this. Do you think this clause is in my contract? No. Do you think I'll put it in there? 100% I would. Anybody know who Ron LeGrand is? When I renovate his houses, he makes me put this clause in there. That's where I kind of got it from. It's a smart thing to do. I'm not going to run off of somebody's job, but I'm sure there's other people who will. So it's a very smart thing to have them add. Now, here's where you're going to get pushback. It's their contract, and you're going to ask them to add a clause to it. And what are most people going to say? When you ask them to put that in, what do you think they'll say? No. And you just say one thing. Why? Why won't you put it in there? Oh, we're just not allowed. Yes, you are. You legally can handwrite that thing in there. We'll both initial it. We're good to go. There's no reason for somebody to not put that in there unless what? They might walk off. They might disappear for a little while. Or they're worried that they can't actually do the job as fast as they said they can. Okay? Red flag. So that's why it's good to put that in there, because you are nipping that in the bud right away. You're not waiting until the job gets to be 4 weeks late to start arguing about it. You already have nipped this in the bud. Here's what's going to happen If you go 4 weeks late, it's going to cost you a lot of money. And there's nothing they can do about it legally. Okay? You can take the money off. Somebody told me, and I did a meeting last week, and somebody said, oh, yes, or pay you a $50 to $100 a day if you finish early. Ha, ha, ha. I'll tell you the same thing I told him. How many people in 18 years have ever paid me more money for a job because we did such a good job where we finished early? In 18 years, how many people do you think have ever paid me more money? One. You saw a picture of him earlier. Marcus Lemonis paid me more money on twice doing that TV show for no reason. He's the only person who has ever done that. Just saying. Do you think I'll do something for Marcus if he calls me? You bet your butt I will. If he called me right now, I would leave. Right now. In the middle of this, I'm leaving. There was a lot of zeros on that check. I'm leaving.